Hey everyone, Brian Von VA here, back at it again with another D&D story. Today we've got the Hell Labyrinth, aka how the PCs caused an apocalypse. This is, I believe, my finest hour as a DM. Nothing I've done before or since was as cool as the way this ended up, and I used the aftermath of this campaign as the basis for many adventures now in the modern day. This is the story of the Black Sun and the Hell Labyrinth. My party is a male human ranger, a female human cleric, male and female elven twins who are both sorcerers, and a male half-orc paladin. The setup for this campaign is that there is an evil cult connected with the 9 hells called the Society of the Black Sun. They have spread their influence throughout high society across the world. Nobles and bishops alike do blood rituals and sacrifices in exchange for wealth, power, and every vice that the sense desires. Black Sun has been searching for people of legend to kill. They believe the 5 people exist who have been foretold to destroy their plans. The party members have each been wronged by Black Sun cultists in some personal way due to the Black Sun's fervor in invalidating the prophecy. The ranger's father had been sacrificed. The cleric discovered the head of her church had been capturing children to feed demons, believing that one of the children was the prophesized ones. The twins were booted out of Magical University for speaking out against the rituals. The paladin got orders from his deity to smite this evil, being told explicitly that he was one of those destined to stop this plague on the world. Campaign begins. Party is motivated and ready to strike. They disrupt rituals and kick cultists in the teeth left and right in every village they enter. They crush moonlit gatherings where blood is turned into gold, and midnight sacrifices where one can exchange a life for fresh crops or healing of pestilence. As they defeat more of these cultists, they discover plans for a large ritual that will take place on the full moon a year later. The cultists claim they will ascend to godhood, that the world will be changed, and they will be exalted. This concerns the party greatly, so they head to the region where the ritual will be taking place. Upon arrival, they meet an affable but brutally practical noble. He is lawful evil, but doesn't trust the cultists. He has expelled them from his castle and city, but worries they are up to no good in the countryside. He also has concerns of spies within his own walls. He has casually had the families of cultists executed, even those that did no wrong. Says he can't be too careful rooting out this vile menace. The paladin bristles at this and swears to stop him. The noble simply laughs, saying that this is a necessity, and chides the paladin for being naive in the face of such chaos. The noble has a beautiful daughter who is pure of heart and doesn't approve of her father's actions. Our ranger is immediately smitten with the girl and spends his every spare moment with her. The noble suggests an alliance with the party to find and stop the ritual. They begrudgingly agree, and he works with the party to root out a corrupt cultist coup hiding in his castle cellar. The culmination of this leads to a woman who is tied up and prepped to be turned into a demonic beast. Cultists laugh as they are defeated, saying that she has already been prepared for the spell, so all they must do is kill her with a special dagger they each have before midsummer, and she will transform. The party debates what to do with her as she lies sobbing on the floor. Eventually, the noble grows tired of their bickering. He walks over to the woman and cuts off her head. The party is aghast at his horrifying action, but he calmly explains, "By killing her this way, the ritual they were attempting cannot be completed. The cultists lose. Now all you need to do is stop all the others, and the problem is solved." The party is riled up and furious. They try to attack the noble, but his guards outnumber them. They take his daughter with them as they retreat, swearing revenge. Many sessions pass. They now have dedicated themselves to destroying this noble. They attack his guard caravans and steal his taxes and distribute them to the poor. They strike out at his heavy-handed attempts to find them in villages and towns, hitting his guards before running away to hide in another town or village. The people love them and trust them. The noble continues to exhort them to focus on the cult via messages delivered by the town crier. One such town crier gets murdered upon his message being delivered by cultists who exclaim, "Ascendance is nearly upon the world. All must bow before the Black Sun or die. To oppose the Black Sun is blasphemy! The party grits their teeth and lets this slide for fear of the noble noticing them if they make too much of a ruckus in the town. They slowly slink away into the depths of the town, hiding from his soldiers who engage the chanting cultists in battle. They duck into Seer's hut as blades clash together outside. The seer, seemingly expecting them, proceeds to read their fortunes. I see a black sun rising to consume the world. 5 points of light appear. These 5 points of light stand before me now. You are to chain down the sun. However, I see that the chains are weakening, links splitting apart. I fear what will happen if the chains break. They leave the town and camp in wilderness, where a group of like-minded villagers have gathered to aid them in their quest. The ranger consummates his love with the noble's daughter, telling her he loves her and promises to marry her. They share a tender moment under the moonlit sky of a nearly full moon. The sorcerer twins dance and play for villagers hiding with them, the sounds of laughter and clapping echoing into the night. The cleric holds small boy on her lap, telling him stories. She smiles as the fire flickers across her gentle face. That night, the paladin has a dream of a black sun rising above the trees to the east. He sees flickering movement inside of it, and it fills him with dread. He talks to the party about it, and they decide they'll deal with it after they stop the noble. They decide to deal with this quickly and move that day. They proceed to the noble's castle after gathering a large villager militia. Peasants, guardsmen, and angry farmers all gathered to their banner to lay siege. The noble calls to them from the top of his castle walls. You fools! You are too short-sighted to see the truth as I have. While you have been fighting me, I have been focusing on stopping the true threat to this world, as you 5 should have been. The paladin shouts, We have been focusing on the biggest threat. You! The noble sneers. And now everyone will die, and it's your fault. The siege begins. He only has a few guards left now. Once the archers and mages atop the walls are taken out, the peasants breach the gates with a battering ram. As everyone rushes in, the noble stands in the center of the courtyard, sword drawn. So you've arrived at last. Well then, so be it. Face me in a duel, if you have honor. With pleasure. The paladin draws his sword and the two face off, glaring daggers at one another. The moon rises overhead, full and shining bright. I smile. As the two of you prepare to fight, everyone feels a rumbling in the earth. A black sun begins to rise from the eastern woods, hovering just above the trees. From the black sun, a hideous cacophony is heard, screaming and screeching and laughter all at once. The noble begins to laugh hysterically as he declares that they all will die, that they ignored the real problem until it was too late. Now the world is over, and them with it. Dark figures begin to dart out of the black orb in the sky. First a few, then more. Soon an utter deluge of devils began pouring out, blackening the skies and blanketing the ground. The world was over. The apocalypse had begun. With enmity forgotten, both the noble and the party rallied the peasants into the castle to defend it. The shattered door was blocked with debris and carts. Devils began to pour in. The militia fought valiantly, but quickly were overrun. The peasants and guardsmen with simple swords and chain were no match for gibbering fiends from the lower realms. The noble demands the party to follow him into the high tower. On the way there, a flying devil grabs the noble's daughter. She screams as she attempts to free herself from its grasp. The ranger and twins attempt to bring it down, but all their shots miss. The devil rips her throat out and tosses her lifeless corpse to the ground. The ranger screams in anger and grief as the paladin drags him onwards. The ranger screaming curses on all devils as they go. Crying, the noble leads them onwards. They get to the top of the tower where he reveals a mirror linked to his cousin's house to the west. I could have escaped through it any time. I chose not to. Now you lot go through, and I will smash it behind you. Perhaps you can rally enough people to have a fighting chance." "What you are attempting is suicide," the paladin exclaims. The noble gives him a haunted look. "My people will soon be dead, and my daughter was just killed before my eyes. What more do I have to live for?" He draws his sword and waits as the party walks through the mirror. The last they see of the noble is him standing with his blade out as crawling demons come up the stairs. Then the mirror tumbles to the earth and goes blank, becoming sheer gray glass with no reflection. In the kingdom to the west, they exit into the throne room, which is bustling with activity. All the diviners and clerics got messages all at once that the end was nigh. The party gets everyone's attention and explains everything that has happened and what is coming. The ranger is inconsolable as he describes the fate of his lover. Nobles everywhere were aghast at what the Society of the Black Sun has done, realizing the error in their ways. This is not ascendance for them, but for the devils they prayed to for miracles. The king asked the party for ideas. They can barely hold the devils off, much less stop them devils from pouring through the Black Sun portal. The cleric suggests they build a trap around the portal, maybe trapping the devils from coming through. The twins expand on this further, believing they could expand the trap to kill any devils that attempt to come through. The king approves this idea, and a great undertaking is launched to attempt it. Every kingdom in the world, great and small, sends their armies to contain the portal. Everyone who can put a hammer to rock is conscripted to make bricks. Clerics bless the bricks without end with the prayers of their gods. No one in the world is spared the undertaking. Everyone is conscripted or killed for non-compliance, for the very world is at stake. The party is hip-deep in preparations. The ranger fights on the front lines like a man possessed. The paladin balances his time between fighting and curing what injured he can. The cleric runs herself ragged running field hospitals and smiting the occasional devil. Tens of thousands are lost. The twins each lose an arm to a giant devil that bit them as they defended camps from flying devils that attacked in the night. The devils eventually are pushed back into the Black Sun portal, but not without staggering losses. The first walls are erected with soldiers standing guard and killing any devils that exit the portal. The paladin stands at the front alongside the ranger as the consecrated walls begin to enclose the portal. Traps and enchantments are set by every mage, rogue, engineer, and wise man in the kingdom. Traps of fire, ice, poison, and every other kind imaginable begin to decorate the walled prison around the portal. The walls begin to get larger and more complex. Every tree and rock in the area is not spared in the construction of the vast cage that will save their world. Years pass as the construction continues, with fewer and fewer devils making it out each year. One day, a greater devil lord from the 9 hells attempts to breach through. The spells and traps that worked against the minor devils seem to have no effect on him. The cleric, now older and wiser, leads her entire faith in prayer. They beseech Lyra to stop the devils. Using the cleric as a conduit, Lyra makes the entire labyrinth glow like a star. The walls begin to glow with holy light as lesser devils are vaporized outright. The greater devil lord shrieking flees back into the portal as the labyrinth now causes him insane panic to set foot into. However, this has left the cleric utterly spent, and she dies quietly after thanking her goddess for one final miracle. The labyrinth is now secure. Its many walls blanket the countryside, the size of a massive city. It is a completely enclosed maze that is self-repairing, consecrated, and filled with traps, the work of an entire world. The land around it is now desolate. The world beyond isn't much better. With every resource dedicated to stopping the devil's invasions, very little farming or gathering was done. Famine soon sets in and many die. No one blames what's left of the party, but they know it's their fault. They didn't stop the ritual when they had the chance. The ranger goes into the labyrinth saying he's going to dedicate the rest of his life killing the devils that stole his love on their own land. The paladin takes over the old noble's land. He finds his skeleton in the high tower, mangled, but surrounded by the bones of many devils. He buries him properly and rules his desolate lands as best as he can, making himself the self-proclaimed watchman of the labyrinth's entrance. The twins, now each with prosthetic arms, open their own academy dedicated to teaching the destruction magics. They have an entire branch of learning dedicated to the killing of fiends. The cleric is immortalized as a saint who failed, then later saved the world. Orphanages and churches are opened in her name, and a statue is erected outside the labyrinth in her honor. The world recovered, forests and crops grew back, and the various peoples grew in number. Soon, the events that led the world to this point became a legend, a tale of heroes that failed to heed a prophecy which almost ended the world. With time, even the legend began to fade from the world, as only a pair of the oldest elves, each with prosthetic arms, remember the true events of what really happened. But at the center of the continent, there lies a massive stone labyrinth, bigger than the biggest cities. They say monsters litter the inside, milling about in search for an escape to the outside world. A statue of an unknown woman stands outside, with a beatific smile on her face. They say if you get to the center, there's a treasure there, some kind of gem called a black sun. If you can find it, all the riches of the world will be yours. So, adventurer, what are you waiting for? The black sun is waiting for you. Hey everyone, Brian Von VA here, checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, to subscribe, and to ring that bell to get notified whenever we make a new post on this channel. If you have a story that you'd like to submit, by the way, do so on r/MrRipper, and of course, come check us out on our main channel, MrRipper. Links are in the description below. And lastly, if you want to support me, your favorite narrator and voice actor from Ohio, come on over to Brian Von VA on YouTube and Twitch, where you can see me stream games and make a lot of videos too. All the love, everybody. Please, 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 please be safe. Make sure to stay hydrated, wear your masks out there, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.